Hey now, welcome to the City Off Campus podcast with your two favorite hosts, Sammy Sommerfeld and Jack McFarland. Today we've got Iowa Hawkeye volleyball player Kyndra Hansen on the show today. How's everything with you?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So to start it off, I want to ask you about kind of just tell us about what's your story? Like, how did you first start playing volleyball? And can you kind of tell us about how you first got into the sport?
Yeah, so I grew up in White Bear Lake, Minnesota, and my mom played volleyball in college at Minnesota Duluth. So I kind of have a volleyball background, I guess, with her. And I played every sport growing up, but they really wanted me to stay in volleyball, my parents. So I started playing club volleyball when I was like 8 or 9 at a club called Minnesota Select. And then I moved to Mizuno Northern Lights, and I was there throughout like my whole club career. So yeah.
So you talk about your mom playing college volleyball. So what was it like to be in a household where you kind of had like your own like mentor of somebody who kind of paved that path already, where you could kind of get advice and she can kind of tell you what it takes to get there?
Yeah, I would say it comes with its like pros and cons, of course, because after a game, if I didn't do so well, she would know exactly like what I did wrong. And sometimes it's hard to hear that, but it's also nice to get that feedback because, it's good feedback because she knows what she's talking about. So I enjoyed it, but it was also frustrating at times.
For sure. So what was your recruitment process like? Because I know in volleyball, people commit super early. So were you one of those athletes that committed super young, or what was that whole entire journey for you of just getting to Iowa? And what schools did you consider besides Iowa?
Yeah, so for my class at least, or like the older girls, recruiting was it's completely changed. So girls started getting recruited like 8th grade. Sometimes you would get letters in 7th grade. Like it was way too young.
Is that even legal?
Yeah, like it's not legal now, but it was legal. So I would get my first letter. I was like going into 8th grade, where it's like you get something in the mail that's like, hey, like university, let's just say Iowa is like interested in you or whatever. And then you would like pick up the phone and call these college coaches when you're like 14 years old. And it's like so weird. But yeah, so I started getting recruited in 8th grade, and then I committed like as soon as I finished my freshman year. I was like going into my sophomore year, like that summer. So I was talking to pretty much only Big Ten schools. I toured like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa. I looked at Iowa State. I talked with like Ohio State, but I never visited. And I had it narrowed down to either going to the University of Minnesota or here. And I like love it here. So happy with my decision.
So what was the deciding factor for you on why Iowa?
I knew like a lot of people here. I like loved the campus. I think it's like a super unique campus where it's just a college town and it's not like in a city or anything. Like it's just like college pretty much here. And I love all the coaches. Like the gym is awesome. So yeah.
So one thing that I think Jack would be interested to know about you, if he doesn't know it already, is in high school you were a manager for a hockey team. And Jack's a big hockey guy, so that's why I bring it up.
Okay.
So how did that start? Are you a big hockey fan being from Minnesota? Like what was that kind of, how did you get into the position while playing volleyball where you're already committed? How did you manage for your hockey team?
Yeah, so I managed for the women's hockey team at my high school for just one season. It was super fun. Like the coach was pretty chill. Like if I had a club tournament or I needed to be at a practice early or something, he was like, go do it. So like I could make whatever I like was able to make. It was really fun hanging out with the girls, and I have a lot more, I guess, respect for managers because they do a lot of like the unseen work. But I wouldn't say I'm necessarily like a hockey fan. Like I'll watch the Wild if they're on, and like that's my team, but I'm not gonna like religiously watch it. But yeah.
Was there ever like a little rivalry between the girls and the boys hockey team, or was there only a girls team at your high school? I'm honestly curious.
I know you are.
We have a boys and a girls team. There was never a rivalry. Like they would get mad at each other for like ice time and stuff like that, because like the boys would go over and then the girls wanted to get on and like whatever. So it was like a little bit of beef, I guess, but no.
No, I was just curious because that's a very interesting dynamic where it's a well, it's not. There's no hitting allowed for the girls, is there, or is there a hitting allowed?
There's no like checking.
Yeah, there's no checking. I was just curious because like that's like the one sport where I'd say like boys and girls both playing like a contact sport. It's just like maybe they want to like cross their wires and beat the shit out of each other one day. I don't know, like maybe on the ice, maybe they have them scrimmage each other. I don't know. I was just curious because I went to high school here in Illinois, and the only schools I knew that had a girls team or a co-ed team, or I don't even know if there's co-ed, just a girls team, were up north. And I don't think like I'd ever seen any of them play. So that's just why I bring it up. But I grew up with a sister who played volleyball like her entire life, and she stopped after high school just because she was a 5'4" setter, and so there was no place for her like in life in volleyball. But she was like good for what she did. But one thing that like my sister was really good at was that pepper drill where you just keep hitting it back and forth, right? So my question is, do you have like a number in the back of your head that you've gotten to during the pepper drill where you're just like, damn? Or is it just like you zone out and you just keep going?
No, I feel like maybe that was like we do pepper, but the game of like, oh, how long can I go, or like what number can we get to? That was probably more like in middle school or whatever. Like,
I mean, that was like my memory of it was when she was like middle schoolish, but I don't know. Like I tried to get in on it and I was horrible, but like it was something that like everybody can try and do.
Yeah, it takes practice for sure.
Jack bringing those middle school trainings to college trainings.
Sam, I'd love to see you get in on the pepper and see if you can hang for more than like 2.
Oh, I'd crush it.
To see it.
I'd crush it. All the Florida Beach volleyball, Jack. All the Florida Beach volleyball comes in handy.
That is true. I didn't think about that.
Exactly. But I want to ask you, speaking of training, what was kind of the age where like you kind of started to lock in and start saying like, okay, I've got to work when, I'm not just at practice, like when nobody's looking, or, when did that self-motivation come? And what is kind of like your why that drives you? Like, what's the why?
Yeah. So like I said before, like I played like a bunch of sports. So I would say I had to stop playing all my other sports, and my volleyball coaches were like, okay, you need to like commit to this or like not do it type of thing. I probably had to quit all the sports at like 4th grade or 5th grade. But me being like, okay, I need to go to the gym because I need to like really work on this for like the next tournament or whatever, was probably like 6th and 7th grade, like right before like recruiting honestly started happening, which is like so scary to say because it's like you're so young. But yeah, that's when I started to like be going like to the gym all the time. And my why has changed like throughout my whole volleyball career. My why used to be because, I want to win. I want to be an All-American. Like I want to be good. Like, like the typical, like I want to win, whatever. But as you get into college and you like, there's so many more factors that go into like being an athlete. Like you're a student first, like you have like all these other responsibilities to like be a part of. And it's like so much to manage, and it's sometimes just overwhelming. My why is I'm playing for the girl that like wanted to be in the gym all the time when she was in like, like 5th, 6th, 7th grade, like that driven girl that like was obsessed with volleyball. I'm playing for her because she dreamed of where I'm at today.
That's awesome. So speaking of like your younger self, kind of going back to the recruiting thing for one sec, what was it like being recruited in 8th or 9th grade? Like you're just getting into high school at that point. What was the stress or like the decision-making process like when you're trying to pick your college already? Like,
it's so weird. Like I remember being in the office with my parents and I'm like, okay, I'm about to call like a 50-year-old coach and I'm like just in high school. Like, so it was like awkward kind of like calling all these coaches because like they're not allowed to call you, but you can call them type of stuff, making my decision that young, like obviously like the campus was like a big factor and stuff, but it's really just like what coaches are like personable. Like my whole life, my club coaches were like literally like different, like just different set of parents for me or like whatever, like they were family. So I wanted to like have a candid conversation with them and like have it not be weird, even though I was that young. And Iowa did that for me. So
What did you learn about yourself through that process?
About myself. Learn about myself. I learned that, well, I kind of just learned that you need to be upfront with people, because even though you're that young, like this is a business for them. So they're trying to, you know, get you to come here with like maybe too little of money for what you deserve or like all that. So I learned through that whole process to just be candid, be upfront, tell people what you want. Like, don't let them tell you what they need, tell them what you want.
How has that helped you today?
I mean, it applies in like my everyday life still to like this day, you know, with like, you know, I work in a pediatric audiology lab. Like you can't let people come in and like tell you what to do, basically tell you how to do your job. Like, you know, like, I don't know. And especially to your coaches, like they're your coaches, but you have to like stand up for yourself if you think something is not like working with the team or, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. And so kind of changing gears, kind of moving around a little bit, but going back into the training and kind of your why and all that, what has, you know, you're a junior now or like going to be a junior.
Yeah.
How have you found, you know, it's a younger team, like how have you found your leadership? Like where do you fit in leadership wise, and like where have you found your voice on the team, and where do you try to find your voice?
Yeah. So I feel like my voice on the team is, I feel like I have a voice in the gym, like throughout drills and stuff like that, but it's been hard to find my voice on the court just because I told you, like I was like sick the past 2 seasons or whatever, but I feel like I'm an upperclassman now. So I feel like a lot of girls have come to me with like maybe outside problems or like, Kyndra, like, how do I like better manage this? Like with school and volleyball, or like they're nervous for preseason. Like that's been like a lot of texts I've gotten recently from the younger classmen. Like, so I feel like my voice is, I'm the person to go to for like advice.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I talked to you about a while ago about how your freshman year you had 135 kills, and this answer that you told me I find very interesting. What brings the grit out of you to get 135 kills? What gets you amped? Can you kind of share with us?
Yeah. So I like when I play, like I like to be like really like angry. So I told Sammy that like if a crowd is like heckling me or like yelling at me, like that like motivates me. That's not like getting in my head. If it gets in my head, it's like in a good way, you know? So yeah.
What's like the best thing that someone has said to you that you've just like flipped that switch? You're like, oh, that's all you had to do, man.
I don't think I can even say it on camera, but Sammy.
Can you say it with bleeping some of the words or giving synonyms, or is it that vulgar that it flipped your switch that well?
I don't know. Like if they call me like a bitch or something, like.
Whoa, we're not allowed to swear on this podcast.
You literally have been, so I just did. I don't know.
All right, fair. Good.
That was kidding.
Cut it out. I don't care. But that, I don't know. It has to be more personal. Like that's not gonna really do it. So just know that it was personal.
I got
it's when they do the research and they really try.
I'm that guy. Like I am that.
That's what I told her. That's
amazing. You're doing a very good service.
I know. And what's been discussed, Jack, and I think I talked about it with you too, is, we've made it very clear to all the athletes that appear on the podcast, we are going to go to at least one game of every sport this year. That is the goal.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, me and Jack are going to be your designated hecklers. Okay. We are going to get you so angry.
Okay.
And so amped.
Whoa. I don't know if I'm going to heckle her. I mean, I might heckle the opposing team.
But don't we want Iowa to do good? She said if she gets
okay, that is true. I'm gonna have to learn how to heckle my own team in a very indirect but positive manner. All right, That's something I'll work on.
And I can't know it's you, otherwise it's not gonna work.
How about this? What if like we just come and we're supportive, but we like bring in people and we place them around Extreme
Yeah,
Arena,
we pay
and they're
actors to
that,
come in
yeah,
and scream
yeah, and
really mean
they
things about you
heckle,
while you
yeah.
play. That'll go well.
Sounds so bad.
Not mean things, but like just heckle.
Yeah. Like a good
heckle.
Yeah, just get you amped. But me and Jack will heckle the other team. Okay.
Yeah, amazing. Love
Okay,
it.
perfect. We got a deal. And then after the game, like she'll be like, "Thank you guys for like coming and like, giving me a career performance." Like that's how
Exactly. When she goes to the press conference, she'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I just have to give a quick shout out to my fans, the Hawkeyes, heckling me because it really lifts me up and takes me to the next level performance wise." One like kind of, it's not personal, but like my sister played a lot of club volleyball too, and like what's the difference in how the team and how you interact with your teammates from like a club team to like a school team? Like how does that differentiate, and like how do you carry those relationships throughout a year? Like let's say those girls on your club team don't go to school with you in those like teenage years, so like what was that like for you growing up?
Yeah, so love my high school, but no shade, but we sucked at volleyball. Like we were so bad. Like we probably won maybe like 3 games like every season, like so bad. And so I think we had one other girl on my team that played club, and it was like off and on club. Like she sometimes played, sometimes didn't want to, but whatever. So what was so frustrating was I came from like my club team was ranked nationally. Like we were like either 1, 2, or 3 like every year. Like we had like the dream team, I guess you could say. Like we all either went Big Ten or like to really good schools. So we were super good and we were super tight knit group. We've been playing together ever since we were like 9 or 10. So it was frustrating to go from like such a great team with such like good connections. Like I know that my libero is going to be right next to me getting my pass, to like high school where it's like there's no like this is bad. So I don't know.
How did you balance that? Like, how did you how did you try to be a good teammate while you're, kind of furious that they all sucked and you're like, here, you're a Division I.
But like, there's nothing you can do because it's just like, that's who they are as like volleyball players.
Yeah,
it's just like,
I feel like high school was more like my mental training area, where it's like, this is so frustrating. Like I just had to learn to be a good teammate. And so I started playing varsity high school as a 7th grader. And then, you're just like a little middle schooler, you don't say anything. But as I got older, I like wasn't always like a great teammate because I would like let my frustration get the best of me. Like I wasn't always like good about that. But as I've gotten, like I was a sophomore, junior, senior was like my time mentally where I grew the most on like learning how to be a good teammate, even though your team might not be the greatest.
So how did you take like those experiences playing with your club team where you said like you guys were nationally ranked, you guys were the shit, called the plumber, and you take that and then you go and play collegiately where everybody is that good, and the margin of error for skill is that, I mean, everybody's that good. Like how did that teach you, or how did you grow in that kind of situation where everybody was good on that club team and then you come to college and everybody's kind of at that same level?
I mean, like, are you saying like how do I deal with like the competition, or like?
Well, not like how do you deal with the competition, but like you said you guys you felt like you had a dream team for that club team.
Yeah.
And you guys, like, it felt like there could be no wrong. You guys were unstoppable, but you then take that next step and you come to college. How do you like? Was there a moment where you were almost like taken back? You're like, okay, like I need to take a step back and actually like not think it's gonna be like that, or did you come in knowing like there's going to be that work that needs to be put in? Like, I don't know how to phrase it. It was just like you made it sound like the team you played with in club was like that much better than everybody, that it kind of gave you that I'm the shit mentality kind of, or am I wrong?
No, you're totally right. I'll answer it to the best of my ability. So yeah, from club, going to college, it was kind of a shock just because like one, like you grow up playing with each other and like like how like everyone plays or whatever. So then it's like you come to college and you have to like find your little puzzle piece of where you fit in on this team. And every year your team changes and other teams change. So yeah, it was a shock. I would for sure say it was a shock. And like also just like getting to know the girls and like, you know, it's like high school all over again, but like just advanced high school, you know? So it changes every year, but getting here, it was a shock.
What's the biggest challenge or adversity you've faced as an athlete?
I mean, obviously, like the cliche answer is like school and volleyball, which, you know, that's very hard to balance. But I would say prioritizing like mental health and time for yourself, because you really only get free time in the summer. So there is no time. Like if you have free time, you are not doing something right. Like, you know, so prioritizing mental health. And I think I've learned now that I'm a junior how to like prioritize it.
So with prioritizing mental health, a work-life balance is what I call it, and managing school or school sport balance. What's a normal schedule for you or a day in a life? And like, how do you go about doing that?
Like in season?
Yeah. And then outside of season or whatever, how do you balance volleyball, mental health, all of that? So kind of give me the two, kind of like, how do you prioritize mental health and how do you balance school and sports?
Okay, so during season, so I'll wake up, whatever. Sometimes we have team breakfast and we'll normally have lift in the morning. And then after lift, you like sprint to your classes because it's like happens in 20 minutes and you're like, crap, I have to shower. So whatever. Then you go to your classes, then you come back for practice and then I'll get done.
Question real quick. Are you one of the athletes that has a moped or do you just run to class?
I do have a moped.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you moped to class.
Yeah, but she's a little bit rusty and old, so sometimes, you know, she doesn't start. But she's getting fixed. But yeah, so then I'll go to class and go to practice, and then afterwards we have team dinner, and then after all that you have to do your school. So then you're up pretty late. But what I've found that really helps me, like lately, I've been starting to do it more is reading. So I'll like, if I'm super tired, it's like, oh, I just want to pass out. Like, no, I need to at least make like 10 minutes for reading. Like that's my me time where I'm just me and my book, like, you know, or like I have a cat. I need to spend, you know, 10 extra minutes with her, like hanging out, just like no phones, like with Nala, you know? So it's just like the little bit, it doesn't need to be like an hour. It could be 10 minutes. You know?
Yeah, no, that's cool. I've become a big reader. I was a reader when I was younger, and then I kind of took a couple year break, and then I've kind of gotten back into it over the last year. Yeah. What do you have any book recommendations or books that you're reading right now that you're very into, or can you kind of give some book advice?
Okay, so I just got done reading this book. It's called Hell Week, and it's about like Navy SEALs and what they have to go through, like through Hell Week, but each chapter is like, it's written like you're going through Hell Week. So it's like, it's a really cool read, but at the end of every chapter, there's a lesson, and the lesson like puts perspective in your life and like how that relates to your life. So it's kind of eye-opening on like, it's good for like team building and like how to work in a team and mental stuff. I don't know. I love it. And right now I'm reading 100 essays that will change the way you think.
I've heard of that.
Super good. I'm like halfway through.
Yeah, but I have a Navy SEAL book I can recommend you too.
Yeah, I would love to read it. I love anything with like war, like stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll send that to you. It's a really good book. It actually changed kind of my work ethic after reading it. So
yeah, that's like how Hell Week is or was for me too.
Yeah,
I'll definitely read it.
I'll send that to you after the pod. So then with mental health, so it's kind of the reading, and then what else? Kind of you hang out with the cat.
Hanging out with Nala.
Okay.
Or if I just needed to like talk to a friend, even like just talk about my day. How's your day going? Like, you know, just don't talk about volleyball. Don't talk about school.
Yeah, nice. Jack, I just want to make a quick observation. We kind of know a lot of cat owners, if you think about it, or people who have cats. If you think about it, we were just talking to somebody who had a cat who we'll be talking about in a couple weeks. You know, Ty was babysitting some cats.
I forgot it yet.
Those cats were cute. I saw those cats.
Yeah, Ty's a big cat dad now. But and now she has cats like Jack. So a little thing about Jack is one of the last pods we did, or a couple pods we've done, Jack's had his dogs in the room. Jack has 4 dogs, and he usually has one dog on his lap and one dog like floating around the room, like just kind of observing. Jack, I feel like we're like just running like an animal themed podcast at this point with so many animal lovers and so many pet owners.
I do think we have to make it something we bring up every time with our guests about their pets and what they have, and because it does always indirectly get brought up, like so always. I think this is something we should definitely make. We should make a little segment about it, just like your pets.
Come on with your pet.
One thing, just kind of not on the pet topic at all, but I just want to loop back to it. Is there a name for the moped, or just name moped?
No name for the moped.
Why is that? You just didn't want to do it?
It's too unreliable. Like, I can't give it a name if I don't love it.
Well, couldn't you give it like an unreliable Dave? I couldn't think of one.
Jack, think of a name real quick. Give us a name. Help her out.
Give it a name.
I was gonna say Noah because of Noah's Ark, but Noah made a pretty damn good arc. I don't know. I don't have any good ones off the top of my head. That was kind of shitty. But either way, I was just curious because I named my car. I named it Skeeter after the dog that Tim Riggins had at the end of Friday Night Lights. He named the dog Skeeter. So it's been my car's name ever since.
That's adorable. I like that name.
Jack's big on naming cars.
That's not it. I've just named. All right. Well, no, here's the other thing. I've had 2 cars and I've carried the name over for both. Is that wrong? I need both your opinions.
That's wrong.
Fuck. All right. Well, the first one was technically named Willie by somebody, and I refuse to call it Willie, but all right, I'll let it slide. One thing I kind of wanted to loop back to as well was you talked about having your the pediatric what is it? Audiology. Thank you. No, thank you. We'll talk a little bit about that. Like, enlighten me, because I can't even pronounce it.
Yeah. So, well, my major is speech and hearing sciences, and my minor is American Sign Language. So I hope to go to grad school and get my doctorate and to be an audiologist or a speech pathologist. I don't know which one yet, but basically, I just want to.
What's the difference? I don't know the difference.
A speech pathologist works more with it's different areas of the hospital, but one could be like with babies and like they can't like eat or swallow or anything like that, or it could be with like trauma patients who had a seizure and like they forgot how to like talk. Like, it's with everything. If you have a stutter, speech pathologist, and audiologist is like working with kids who are deaf, hard of hearing. Maybe they need a cochlear implant, and that's like if you're deaf and like you need the little circle thing right here, it's like a hearing aid, or giving kids hearing aids, like stuff like that. So audiology is a little bit more schooling, but I think I am leaning towards that path, but we'll see. Yeah.
I'm curious just because, Sam, I went to a speech pathologist when I was like 2. I couldn't speak English when I was supposed to. I was like,
oh, you were a late talker?
I was looking at my mom and I was staring at her intently, like, I know what I'm saying. I know I'm saying it to you. And it was coming out, and my mom and grandma thought something was really wrong with me. And it was just mumble jumbled nothing. And they were like, whoa, like that's an issue.
And
now look at me.
I know. I'm only smiling because now all you do is talk.
Right? Like, that's what I even told her. I'm like, oh, look at this. Like, you fixed me, and now I can't stop freaking talking. But yeah, I was just curious because I had to go to someone, and I didn't know what that difference was. I can't even pronounce it. But what inspired you to get into this side of just kind of health and all that?
I originally came to college like wanting like a business degree. I like didn't know what I wanted to do. Both my parents are in business, so I was like, yeah, business. But it like never really interested me until I took my first ASL class here, and my teacher Tim, he is deaf, and he kind of like inspired me to like work with that community. So if you take an ASL class, you have to get like hours within the community, like the deaf community, and doing that like just really opened my eyes, and I was like, I want to do something with ASL. So like speech path and audiology, I can work with deaf kids and adults, so it's kind of best of both worlds. Yeah.
Going back into your athletic career a little bit and your volleyball life, What is your pregame and postgame routine? I love asking athletes this question because I'm always interested. So what if you have a pregame routine, any music you listen to, any activities you do, any like superstitions? Do you have any of those?
Well, before a game, I always have to have like coffee or like just a ton of caffeine, like an abnormal amount. And then I'll normally listen to like angry rap, like Suicide Boys or like something like that. And then after a game, I kind of just want to like leave the gym immediately. So I don't really have like after routine. I'm just like, give me.
Is there a go-to post-game meal that you're like, like you crave something after a game, or you're like, I always
crave McDonald's Sprite, but like I never get it. But like whenever I'm done working out, I'm like, dude, I want Sprite so bad.
Jack, I will say that's a first.
What? Wanting McDonald's Sprite?
Yeah.
Like it's
usually it's like somebody wants a big meal. Usually we get like the big meals, like people want to feast. Just Sprite. That's like a good answer.
But I respect it. It's not just any Sprite. I respect it.
McDonald's Sprite. Yeah.
Sodas have an extra like dosage of corn syrup and goodness that all of their drinks taste like way better than they do if you bought them at like Hy-Vee. So I respect that choice a lot more. I'll follow up on that. Is it the regular Sprite or like that berry Sprite that they have?
No, regular.
Okay,
regular.
Just making sure. I know a lot of people that swear and would die on that berry Sprite hill, and I call them crazy too. So don't worry.
Jack being a soda connoisseur.
Sam, there's a couple things in life that you should take seriously, and it's the little things, and that's one of the little things I take seriously. It's like, do you really care about Sprite? Like, hold on, let's dive into that a little. That Coke machine where you can get like 80 different flavors of sodas. I bet you're the type of guy that goes there and just gets like normal Powerade. You're like, oh, look at me.
I don't drink soda.
I'm just going to get like blue Powerade. That's not a soda. That's my point.
I know, but I don't drink soda. So
what would you get, like a diet?
I mean, if I had to get like a sugary drink or like soda type of, I'd get like lemonade, I guess. But I drink water.
When was the last time you had a soda? Swear to God.
Last time I had a soda in Iowa City at some point. I mean, probably at a bar.
So I'm not a soda guy either. I'm not like making this a thing. I don't go out and order sodas. I order water. So it's all right. I'm not coming at you. I'm just curious.
I know.
Sodas is a very diverse.
You're doing this whole investigation. Like,
no, I'm just curious. You made it sound like you've never had soda. So I just needed to make sure.
Okay, Jack.
Making sure.
Well, okay. Well, Jack in his head investigates our soda drinking habits. I want to ask you, what are your favorite Iowa City restaurants or favorite Iowa City meal while we're on food topics?
I really love Basta. The only downside is I have to bring my own noodles because I have celiac disease, but Basta is like 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like Noto too, or Formosa.
Okay, what's your go-to at Formosa? What's your go-to at Noto? And what's your go-to at Basta? I love all those places. So
Basta, I just like bring my angel hair pasta gluten-free or whatever, and then I just get their like their spicy red sauce.
Yeah.
Formosa, I get like the chicken teriyaki bowl, but like gluten-free, so no sauce. It's literally rice, broccoli, and like chicken, but whatever. And Noto, I get their I forget what it's called, but it's just a BLT. So good. Or their grilled cheese there is like literally amazing.
Yeah, grilled cheese is gas.
Yeah, I didn't forget the other place I said. What did I say?
You said Noto, Formosa, and Basta. You named them all.
Oh, that. Okay, good.
You crushed it. What is your biggest accomplishment? Like, what do you find to be your greatest accomplishment in your volleyball career? And then what are your personal and team goals for this Big Ten season?
All right, personal accomplishment in my volleyball career.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my best like memory, I guess, accomplishment memory, whatever it was, we won the national championships in club volleyball when I was 17. But honestly, like lately, it's probably learning how to like not take things so seriously. Like if I have a bad practice, like it's okay. Like bad game, life goes on. Like I'm not gonna like remember that game in 40 years, So just not taking things so seriously.
What's helped you not take things so seriously?
I've had like a lot of health issues ever since I got to Iowa, and those experiences, like being hospitalized and stuff like that for that, it has like made everything else just seem so like you're totally fine, because that was like the worst like experience ever. It's just perspective. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I can relate to having perspective on different things.
Yeah.
So with that, like now, trying to kind of not be so hard on yourself, but obviously having goals going to the year, what are some of your personal and team goals?
So for team, I mean, we're going to talk more about this Monday when preseason starts, but
Sure.
we've kind of talked about it at the end of this past season. We really want to go over 500 and make the NCAA tournament. So fingers crossed it happens, but I think it will. I think we have all returning players. Things are looking pretty positive for this season. So
How, like, now you kind of talked about like having summer off a little bit where you have more time than usual, so like now starting up the season, starting school, what are you going to kind of miss about having some of the free time that you had? Like, is there anything, or are you kind of just ready to get going?
I mean, I'm pretty anxious about getting going. Like, I'm excited to start. But I'll definitely miss just like, like my free time. Like, if I want to go home right now, like I definitely could, and I could go on the lake and just chill. But it's just being so scheduled, and like you don't control your schedule. So my free time, chilling by the pool outside, going home, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen some of your social media posts. You're a big lake person. So
Yeah.
are you a boater? Are you like, what water activities do you enjoy
I was about
doing?
to say, what's the favorite water activity?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really just like
tubing, skiing. What's the go-to?
I really like kneeboarding. Like if I'm doing like lake activities, like kneeboarding. But I like skiing too. I'm not very good at it, but like I'll do it. But otherwise I just like tan on the boat. I just chill.
Fair. And
Yeah.
diving into one thing that I was excited to talk to you about on the pod is you really from the first time I met you, like you've been very passionate about female athletes and female athletes being properly spotlighted, having a voice, and female athletes oftentimes being overlooked in different ways, whether it's through the media, whether it's through other ways, so kind of like, where does that passion come from of wanting female athletes to, whether it's get more credit, get more attention, or just have more opportunities in one way or another? Like, how did you kind of get passionate about that, and through your experiences, where do you see there needing to be more improvement?
Yeah, well, I feel like it didn't start with me being passionate about it like through sports. Like I think it came from my mom, since like she works in an industry where it's very like male dominated, and she always taught me like like I'm a woman doing this, like you can do this if you wanted to do this, like ever since I was younger. Like she's very empowering towards women, like within her industry, with like my family and like women in our family and stuff like that. So I think like I get my strength from like my mom for it. But with sports, I mean, I'm going to talk, I guess, specifically about like volleyball. Volleyball doesn't get like a lot of recognition. And like part of the reason is because, we haven't had a great track record of like winning, which like hopefully like that's going to improve. But part of it, I feel like, is upon ourselves. Like if we want change, like within like our female athletics, then like we need to be the change. Like people aren't just going to like hand it to you and be like, here's all the coverage of like you guys, losing or whatever. So we've had talks about that as a team as well, because it's like you don't want to say it's embarrassing, but it's like embarrassing that we don't get it. Well, it's because like we're losing. So it's upon ourselves to like kind of take the charge and make the change.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And Jack talked about with actually, before I go to that, so like with being a female athlete, like from your experiences, like when you've seen male athletes in college sports or in high school, like when have you like seen like have you ever seen athletes who do very similar things to you and get very different opportunities, or have you seen like how do you react when that's happened? Like, what's that been like for you?
Yeah, I'm not gonna like obviously name any names.
No, I'm not asking you to.
There's, yeah, I mean, it doesn't even need to be like specifically happened to me, but I see, you know, like women's basketball players or like women or men's basketball players and like comparing like the women's and men's sports. And like there'll be like amazing girls on the women's basketball team and like, you know, maybe mediocre to good guys on the men's basketball team. And it's just like, here, men's basketball, like I don't want to call it like men's basketball or whatever, like love you guys. But you know what I'm saying? Like it could be any sport. Like, I don't know. It's like frustrating, but it like is how it is. You have to like make your own voice. So
yeah.
No, I think like one example I could think of that's pretty good would be like male hockey and female hockey. With female hockey outside of just like college, like past that, there's really nothing concrete for them. And they haven't really, female professional hockey players haven't had much of a say in their career. And you've seen in the last, I'd say 2 years, a lot of them start to like speak up and stand up and actually say like, we demand more of a say, or we demand a better situation. And I think like you're really seeing more of like a change in female hockey, more so than I'm not going to like try and compare sports, but that's like one example that comes to mind right away. And it's kind of ironic that we were talking about it earlier on this episode, but like it is like, I just see all the time female hockey just being pushed to the forefront, and them saying there's so much skill and so much good for people to see that they just haven't. And it's just, people don't give it the time for whatever reason, because it doesn't make money. Who knows? Yeah,
I totally agree with you. And like the WNBA has also been like stepping up more. I don't like follow that a ton. Like I don't really follow basketball, but I know I've seen a bunch of posts about different WNBA players like speaking up about that. So it's been cool to see like the progression as it's slowly like becoming more of a topic that's talked about.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I had those questions, I had to bring it up. But one thing that I wanted to touch on earlier, which our kind of discussions kind of went another way, but I wanted to go back to it, is Jack talked about the comparison between travel volleyball and, you know, high school volleyball or team volleyball. But I want to ask you, what are the differences, or what do you enjoy between beach volleyball versus court volleyball?
Yeah, so beach is cool. I know there's strategy to it. I don't like play it a ton. I enjoy it. It's fine. But court is so like just dynamic. Like I think it's the only sport, I don't know how to word it. Like it's the only sport with the most amount of people in a space or something like that. Like it's just so dynamic. There's so many different systems.
I see what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like if and this is like spike ball. It's not like an official sport, but if spike ball was to ever make that like official jump, it'd be like spike ball would take over that trophy of being the most like action in one little. Do you know what I'm? What do you know? Then what are you trying to say then?
Jack, start the campaign to make spike ball an official.
No, but I'm confused with what you're trying to say then.
No, so you know how volleyball there is a inbound. Yeah. It's like painted.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, there's like a court boundary. Yes, I see what you mean. But like there is like the amount of action and how they do it. That's where I was comparing. But I see what you mean. Yes.
So it's just so dynamic. Like there's so many different things. Like so many different types of serves, so many different defenses, like offense, like whatever. Like it's just so dynamic, which I like. I think I like court better. I think.
What do you love about the strategy of volleyball? Like, what do you enjoy about playing the game? Like, what are your top 2 or 3 things that, like, when you're doing it, you're just like, this is my favorite thing to do. It gets you all like juiced up, like, just like, I love this.
I think I love it, and I feel like I love it so much because it's just like constantly changing. Like, there's never just gonna be like, you know, well, I don't know, basketball or hockey. Like hockey, you pass it, you keep passing it until you shoot it. But like volleyball, you can score on a block, you can score by someone, shanking a volleyball, a serve, a hit, a dump. Like there's so many different ways to score. Like, I don't know, but the best, I think, way to score is through a block, because it's just like, I just did that. Like I just blocked you. I don't know.
How do you get the hops? If me and Jack want to hit the weight room, we want to get our balance up a little bit. How do we get some of those volleyball hops?
Just do a bunch of deadlifts basically and squats. And Zach, our strength coach or whatever, has us doing like a lot of conditioning, and then we'll do some jumps with like dumbbells or whatever while we're holding them like by our sides, and then hurdle jumps and stuff like that. So by jumping, you're increasing your jump. So yeah.
Oh, sounds like I'm not going to be getting my hops up.
Yeah, it's like not super fun training, but it's like obviously you need to do it and it's worth it. But
of course. I mean, Jack, maybe you can start up like your volleyball career, like your quest to play beach volleyball or something.
Nope. Sorry, can't do it.
My
Bad shoulder.
Yeah, Jack was a big high school football player. He played O-line, and he's that guy who prides himself. Like, we did a podcast a couple months ago, and I was asking him about football technique and wrestling technique. It turned into a 45-minute talk lecture by Jack where I probably said 15 words in the 45 minutes. And he was trying to teach me about his glory days of playing football. So
I think this kind of goes back to my mom, like, helped me learn how to speak again, or just speak in general. So
okay.
Speech pathologist. Yeah, I mean, blame me for just being passionate about my life and my experiences. Sam.
Hey, it's just you're blaming
you got me rolling like a ball, and I was going down the hill nonstop, uncontrolled. I mean,
get it.
We made it an episode. It was fine.
It's okay. You're a star athlete.
It's the glory days. Everybody has them, and I still haven't shut the book. But hey, maybe one day.
But my final question for you is, what does being a Hawkeye mean to you?
I think being a Hawkeye, well, I obviously think about being a volleyball player here, being a student, and I think about just growing a lot more as a person. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
I love asking. We've gotten a wide range of answers from current and former Iowa athletes, so that's like one of our favorite questions to ask. But
I have one last one. Did you ever, because I imagine volleyball serves are very routine oriented, did you ever have a routine that you were sick of in your career where you were like, man, I wish I could just stop doing this, but I really can't because it's the only way I know? Or did you just you never had that issue? I'm curious.
Like a weird little.
But you have to actually bounce the ball 3 times and then do a half spin.
Yeah. I still do.
But it has to be a half spin. It can't be a 3/4.
No, I literally still do this routine. I've done it since I was forever. I have to serve on the left side of the backcourt, and I have to bounce it 3 times, like hit it, bounce it, and then I have to set it to the ground 3 times, and then I'm ready. I've been doing that since I was I don't know, 10.
Yeah. No, my sister was the same way. That's why I bring it
Jack.
up. Everybody's got their own little knack. Huh?
Hey,
What, Sam?
I'm thinking when we go to the volleyball game this year, I think post game, as long as they come out with a win, I think you got to learn. She has to teach you how to serve. I'd love to
teach me how to serve, dude. My sister was a killer at serving. That's what I'm good at.
But Jack, it's not that easy. I want to see you serve like a college athlete.
I can do it. I don't think I can do a sick jump serve.
That's what you got to learn.
Yet, but that's not in my bag.
I think you can teach them how to do a jump serve, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
There we go.
You can teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Everybody just has to tune in for maybe a month from now. A little into the season, we'll go.
Yeah, we'll see how far your pepper goes, Sam.
Dude, in middle school, we played volleyball every day. I literally had the unbeatable serve. I'm not even joking.
I'm sure you were an underhand, clenched fist type dude.
No. Okay. I crushed the serve. I have a lot of other volleyball weaknesses, and I will be upfront with that. But
what's the number one weakness?
Oh, the number one weakness: diving for a ball. I'm not a diver.
You haven't learned how to hit the floor gracefully.
No,
I don't think Sam's very graceful.
I mean, keeping it alive. If you dive, bump it up to save it. I can't get there. So I might need some lessons on that if you're teaching Jack how to serve.
Yeah. You just sound like you're a step slow.
Hey.
Yeah, it's coming after a game or something, and we'll see what we can do.
Oh, there we go. We'd love to hear that. Hear that, Jack? Like we've been getting
Dude,
all
I'm
the
always down to put some work in.
Yeah, Jack, we've been getting like the sympathy like agreements for private training from all the athletes. Think about it. Like the baseball guys will take us hitting, the basketball guys will help us work on the 3-ball.
Golf will teach us how to putt.
Teach us how to putt. Like we're collecting the private lessons. It's perfect.
Yeah, I'm glad I could actually be successful at something in life. But Kyndra, we can't thank you enough for taking the time coming on here and sharing all of these little stories with us. It's been an absolute blast for us and for everyone listening. Like always, not the same time, same place. We will see you guys later.